Hey there. I'm live today with Kira Johnson. Welcome, Kira.
Thank you for having me, Douglas. Happy to be here.
Excellent. So we're going to talk a little bit today. So Kira is a community manager at Voltage Control, and we're just going to talk a little bit about the facilitation community, control the room, and actually we're pretty excited. We just released a promo video. Maybe we'll have to drop that in the comments of the video. It's a little long for social, but this is a live stream, and we did mention it, so we'll probably drop it in the comments after. And first of all, I just want to say, welcome to any facilitators, any of the community folks out there that are listening in. Yeah, just go ahead and say hi and maybe ask some questions in the comments. We'd love to field questions and engage with folks as we go. And so I guess Kira, let's maybe kick it off a little bit here with maybe a little detail on what is control the room and what's it all about and what can people expect.
Yes, think that's a great question. So, speaking to control the room, our community at the facilitation lab is an open community of facilitators that can come together every week on Thursdays to openly practice, ideate, and fill their methods and activities that they're actively working on. So, we really just hope to build a community and a safe open space for them to be able to openly practice and ideate together in a virtual forum through Zoom.
And so you mentioned facilitation lab, and that's an event on Thursdays. Is that correct?
That's correct. So that happens every Thursday. We're excited to offer that to facilitators from all walks of life and industries every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time.
And what's the difference between I feel like the control the room, there's a podcast, there's a facilitation lab. Like what's the difference between the lab and the community or what all is happening there?
Yes, so we do. It can be a little confusing for folks who are just joining us or just hearing about the control the room umbrella. And essentially, it's an area and community that we've built at Voltage Control for facilitators to come together and be able to share resources and have the opportunity to grow together. We do have different branches and elements of the community through our Slack channel. It's our general channel that we offer to facilitators as a whole, where they can come together and chat. And then in addition to that, we also have our virtual meetups where we meet in the facilitation lab as well. So as a whole, we offer so many different aspects through control the room, but we're excited to offer different elements of that for so many people that want to be a part of it.
And there's even an annual conference for facilitators, right?
That's right. We have our annual summit typically in February that we offer to facilitators across the world. This past year an experience like no other before. We actually had an entire virtual experience for facilitators, and it was a 3-day event where we brought master facilitators to speak and engage with the community, and it was an incredible event. So we were happy to be able to offer that in a unique way this year.
Yeah, I know I had a lot of fun with it. I did miss communing with everyone in person, and we're kind of eyeing toward a possibility of coming together in Austin again in February. So we'll see how things work out.
That sounds awesome. I think we're due for some shared experiences in the physical sense. So definitely excited to hear that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, because the virtual environment impacted some of our programming decisions. Like we were able to make some moves that are a little more difficult to make in the physical space. So it'll be interesting to see, what we decide to do, given the limitations of physical space. Um, I've even contemplated, do we do hybrid where there's one day of communion, if you will, and then we have some virtual workshops where people do more distributed learning, so we can have and not exclude all our pals in Hong Kong and Singapore and Australia and Thailand,
Absolutely.
etc. Yeah.
Yes, I think that's a strategic and great approach, especially speaking to all of the amazing introductions and connections we've built through all of our friends across the world. So it's cool that they would have the opportunity to be able to join us and not miss out.
100%. And I think the Slack community, or I'd say the Slack channel for the community, shouldn't be understated either. I think just watching people come in and get questions answered, and come with curiosity and generosity, and just the sharing and the fellowship that happens is actually quite remarkable, and it's been really fun to see that grow.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's a great platform for people to come together and really just share resources that they're working on, share announcements and opportunities that they have in their respective backgrounds and pipelines. And it's just a great place for people to openly connect and hear about what others are working on in real time and share what's worked versus what hasn't worked. It's an incredible asset for facilitators to be able to experience in our Slack channel for sure.
Yeah, so folks have Slack, they have the conference, they have the weekly facilitation lab. We're been experimenting with some fun programs to reward people for contributing and being stellar members of the community. So I'm excited to launch some of those things. We're still kind of working on some of the details, but we'll be launching that before too long, and really excited about seeing some of the growth coming out of that.
Definitely. So excited to be able to offer that to all of our facilitators who are really paving the way and really reaching an arm across the aisle to make sure that we're able to offer this community to so many different people.
So I guess next Thursday, or this Thursday, we have Jason Diggs, author of Conflict Equals Energy, and I believe he's going to be bringing some more authentic relating, which has been a popular hit with the community, and such a fun facilitation discipline, especially for folks that are longing for connection, or in environments where they're lacking a lot of connection. It's very powerful.
Definitely. As you said, it's been a hot topic for us in the facilitation lab, the idea of and platform and framework of authentic relating. And as you said, I think people are just longing for that sense of connection as we're all, in different spaces across the world. And we're so thrilled to have someone like Jason, who is a master facilitator in authentic relating, to come to our session in our facilitation lab and offer some insight as to what he has mastered and made it his life's mission. So we're thrilled to have him in the lab this week.
And I guess you've spoken with Jason at least once or twice. I'm curious to hear if you have any insights into kind of what he has planned, and how he's been thinking about the session.
Absolutely. I don't want to reveal too much, just to have hopefully not steal Jason's thunder. But he is excited to present an overview of concepts through authentic relating that he has learned over time, and share that openly to our community, and just offer a little bit more insight and details to what that world looks like in authentic relating.
Hmm. Well, let's maybe switch gears a little bit. Hopefully, people can make it out. Again, that's every Thursday at 1 o'clock Central Time. Facilitation Lab is a place to come, learn, share, practice, get curious, get confused, get confronted with some different ways of thinking, learn some new methods, some new mindsets. And this week, we've got Jason Diggs, author of Conflict Equals Energy. It's going to be walking us through some authentic relating moves. And one thing to note is every week in Facilitation Lab, we always have a critique. So whatever you experience, you're going to have an opportunity to give feedback on your impression, your takeaways, your experience. It's a great way to integrate some of these things into your practice because you're going to take a moment to think about it. So highly participatory, fantastic way to level up your facilitation skills every week. So come join us. Hope to see you there. I wanted to switch gears really quickly to a topic that we are publishing in our weekly newsletter this week, and that'll be a fun way to kind of spend the last 5 minutes of this live stream on uncomfortable conversations and the importance of moving into conflict. And wanted to get your thoughts, Kira, around well, you've worked at numerous jobs and been in different social circles and volunteer groups, etc. When you think back and from just experiences you've had where people avoided uncomfortable conversations, what did you notice, or how did that make you feel?
I think I would say I don't think I know. It's disappointing, but
Hmm.
it's also important to 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 not only acknowledge that dismissive type of behavior, but to offer understanding and
Hmm.
hopefully provide some clarity with the importance of having that conversation. I think it's so important to for people to get comfortable in the discomfort of having uncomfortable conversations like this, and the only way for us to do that is if we normalize and take a step forward with having those conversations.
Yeah, when I think about those situations, it was always like this mixture of like, well, I guess that's how things are done here, but it almost felt like restraints, or like I wasn't able to necessarily be myself, um
Yes.
or like there was some expectations around like what is said and what isn't said, and you're kind of trying to figure out these weird unwritten rules, and it's like that mental energy to navigate that stuff stifles actual good work, and not to mention like thoughts and ideas that go beyond just the ordinary. I know I've experienced that in numerous situations, and it frankly frightens me to death that I would create any kind of scenario where that would be happening. At least I'm always on the lookout for it. And the scary thing is there's people talk about leadership blindness, which is that the leaders never notice that because they never experience it because they set the tone. Their leaders are always heard. Leaders are because the thing is like you if you always have a voice, and you can always shape things, and you always feel heard, and you always know what the conversation's about. You never walk in confused around why we're meeting. Um, then you never notice these things, right? Because those are the two dynamics that lead to a lot of these problems. And so the people that can make the change don't always see it, and so that's the most frightening thing as a leader is like, what am I not seeing? But so I'm curious to just hear a little more about what your personal experiences kind of navigating some of that stuff.
Douglas, I think it's a mixture of emotions, as you said, and I think, as someone who is not in a leadership position or who wasn't, in past career experiences, it can be challenging for a person to feel comfortable enough to speak up because
Hmm.
they're not privy to that leadership role, and with fear of moving forward in their careers, or fear of stepping on other people's toes, or there's just a wide range of thoughts that can go through a person, through the mind of a person that isn't in a leadership position. And I think, speaking to your point about a leader not being aware of those repercussions or thoughts or expressions, I think that's why it's so important to have diversity within leadership roles, and why we need
Hmm.
to continue that conversation forward, because it's important for others to see a reflection of themselves in a leadership role, to know that that opportunity is there, and it's an indirect way for them to know that that is achievable.
That's an important point, and it can be really difficult for I think big companies have no excuse. Small companies, it's hard because you only have so many leadership positions, and often you're fighting tooth and nail to survive as a small company. And sometimes you're like your hires are opportunistic, right? It's like, oh, here's this person that just kind of like came out of nowhere that's maybe going to help me solve this problem, and it can be very difficult to, I've turned away some of those opportunities in order to position us for some more diverse hires, and it's hard. It's really hard, and it takes a lot of commitment. And so I just want a big shout out to all the small companies out there that are making strides for diversity, because I see it
Absolutely.
firsthand, and it's hard and it takes work, and good on you.
It's a challenge, but it's a challenge we need to try to conquer at the same time.
All right. Well, that takes us. We're over the 15 minutes, so I want to wrap up. I think we hit on some good stuff today. Want to thank you so much, Kira, for joining me. And as always, it was a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you so
And
much.
yeah, I
Thank you for
hope you
letting
enjoy
me.
your day.
Yes, thank you. Absolutely.